All right, so there's been a bit of fallout from a recent comedy show at a Los Angeles comedy club and the blog of a girl in the audience. It happened when Daniel Tosh of Tosh.0 made the remark that all jokes about rape are funny. Now, the girl wrote, quote, "So I yelled out, actually, rape jokes are never funny. I did it because even though being disruptive is against my nature, I felt that sitting there and saying nothing or leaving quietly would have been against my values as a person and as a woman. I don't sit there while someone tells me how I should feel about something as profound and damaging as rape." After I called out to him, Tosh paused for a moment and then he said, "Wouldn't it be nice, or wouldn't it be funny if that girl got raped by like 5 guys right now? Like right now. What if a bunch of guys just raped her?" So we want to talk about this and about free speech, political correctness, and if there should be lines drawn or exceptions made, especially when it comes to comedians. Tosh, by the way, apologized in a tweet, sort of, saying, "All the out-of-context misquotes aside, I'd like to sincerely apologize." So to discuss with me, I was joined earlier by comedian Doug Stanhope, and I first asked him for his reaction to this drama with Tosh.
Well, it's silly and overblown and embarrassing to our silly country. First of all, we don't know what the story is. We know some blog account from some meathead who walked into a comedy club and then wrote about it. It's not like a Michael Richards situation where there's video. We have her word against the club owner's word, and Tosh hasn't said anything. And regardless, even if what she wrote is accurate, it's nothing. Rape jokes are funny, is what he said. They are to some people.
And, you know, I guess if you haven't heard of Tosh, what he says can be a little shocking. But I do want to play some clips of comedians, including Tosh, just to sort of lay out the way comedy is in the modern day.
Sure.
It's one tone, and that's why you guys aren't good air traffic controllers, because there would be no different between a baggage left behind in Newark and a wing on fire in terms of the tone. So I'm saying levels.
Try not to be offended by that. Our viewers don't like you.
I'm not condoning rape, obviously. You should never rape anyone. Unless you have a reason, like you want to somebody and they won't let you, in which case, what other option do you have? How else are you supposed to have an orgasm in their body if you don't rape them?
My sister's off the charts. I play practical jokes on her constantly, though. I got her so good a few weeks ago. I replaced her pepper spray with silly string. Anyway, that night, she got raped.
All right, so Doug, clearly some people actually do find this funny. You know, so do comedians have a responsibility here?
I have three for three on those. Hilarious to me. If you don't find it funny, first of all, maybe you should put more effort into researching what entertainment you're going to see. You just walk blindly into a comedy club and think it's all going to be Laughlin, Nevada, Buddy Hackett, then it's your fault. You should know what you're going to see. It's not like it's hard to find out who the people are that are playing that night. Now, and maybe if they're easily offended, you shouldn't be in a comedy club to begin with.
A lot of, you know, you don't really hear too many people saying, you know, Tosh should be fired or anything like this. But there were a whole lot of people saying he should apologize, and he sort of did on Twitter. But what do you think? Should comedians have to apologize?
Should never apologize. It makes me sick. And I hope Tosh was being sarcastic when he apologized. Because in his apology, he did say, aside from the misquoting and out of context, I sincerely apologize. I hope that was somehow an underhanded slap at her being a liar. But either way, if you don't like it, leave. There's a lot of things. Just because rape might be touchy to you, hey, you know what? Diabetes might be something I've dealt with in my family. Should we not do diabetes jokes? Where do you draw the line? Everything should be funny. If I'm laughing, you're not, I win.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, is there anything that you think should be off limits or too sacred? Are there any lines that should be drawn at all?
If you have the choice where I can laugh at this or be morose about it, no. So yeah, there's no lines. The more traumatic, the funnier.
And that's what I was going to, you sort of touched upon this before. Tosh has a reputation, and the majority of the audience was probably prepared. It was very interesting. This blogger wrote that Dane Cook didn't really offend her at all, but obviously Tosh did. I mean, at the end of the day, don't you think this responsibility does fall on both sides of the stage?
Well, first of all, Tosh has a reputation for being really funny and really dark. So if you're listening to her account of what he said, you're probably not getting the funny version. It's just like Lenny Bruce's famous case where he had a cop testify using his material, but using the cop's delivery. Yeah, when you hear it from a cop, it's not funny.
Let's talk about political correctness in this country. Certainly, for some people, it goes a little too far. I mean, I think you would agree with me when I say that. What do you think are some of the biggest reasons why this is just important to talk about?
Because people are bored and they don't want to deal with their own problems, so they create Twitter problems and fight because they don't want to confront their own boss or their own husband or their own horrible, whatever their life is. They'd rather have some vicarious nonsense on Twitter to yell about, including me and this conversation.
I know that I wanted to ask you about this meeting that you're attending, the Amazing Meeting. It's coming up in Las Vegas. What's this all about?
It's a skeptics meeting. I guess they've done it since 2003. I just got invited to go. It's a bunch of atheists and skeptics and probably bitter, miserable people who like to make rape jokes and the like. In your experience, Doug, I mean, you're obviously a pretty well-known comedian. Have you ever experienced anything like this? I mean, have you ever been asked to apologize for anything that you've said? It seems every time I go to the UK, I get involved in some kind of nonsense. And it's usually language-based, and someone was offended by something because they have that problem. You can't use the word retard. And, well, retarded is a description. You made it into Ichabod. He doesn't understand. Shut that dog up when you get to the door. Sorry.
Clearly your dog agrees with you, I was going to say.
Ichabod doesn't like the word retard.
Wow.
Developmentally challenged, because he is.
He's asking you to apologize as well.
His own way.
Just last question, Doug. I mean, what is your hope in terms of comedy in the modern day in this country? What should be its function?
To make people forget about their problems. But as long as there's this many people who have problems with comedy, I should do very well.
Sounds good. Great.
I'd be out of business.
Great to have you on the show. Comedian Doug Stanhope joining us from Arizona.